Hey, good morning, everybody's doing well this Thursday, July the 6th. I'm here in Portland, Oregon, actually downtown by the Lloyd Center in the Holiday Park area this morning. And I'm excited to be here in Portland. This will be actually the third time I've been in Portland, second time to actually speak. So here less than a year ago to speak at with some note investors, and then tonight I'm actually speaking at the Northwest REI Club here at the actual Doubletree by Hilton in the Lloyd Center area. So excited if you're here in Portland, come on out and hear me tell some stories tonight. But that's kind of what today's note closure show is all about, is storytelling. I'm a big believer that the most effective communicators are those that tell stories. Why? Well, you have kind of two types of presenters. You have people that give facts, and they have people that tell stories. And I think the people that are the most effective at communicating their message is storytelling. Now let's think about this for a second. If you're watching TV, what do you like? Well, you usually like to watch shows that have an interesting story, whether it's House of Cards or Portlandia is a good example, or Orange is the New Black, not House of Cards, but any of the HBO Sopranos is one of my favorites actually as well. Those are some of the biggest ones out there are the ones that have effective stories and kind of keep you rocking and rolling. And I see a lot of people getting into good morning, Aaron Young. Yeah, flew in yesterday. I guess you're not out. It's kind of funny. It's a small world. But anyway, I see a lot of people who want to get into speaking or teaching or talking to investment clubs, and they miss that point. They get to the point where they almost have regurgitating too many facts and not giving enough stories. I think stories is what separates really those from the good speakers from the bad. Because the more stories you can tell, the more stories you can have in your repertoire, the more the audience is going to connect with you. That's how they're going to actually remember is good stories. Like, people won't remember the foreclosure home in Dayton, Ohio, but they'll remember when I talk about how we found a dead body in it. Or the fact on the Phoenix duplex I bought, they couldn't remember really the numbers, but they can remember that the bums were stealing power and electricity from both neighbors. So you want to have 7 to 8 stories. And I heard it best, actually, Chase Thompson during his Marketing Madness, his dad can speak, who's a professional storyteller, one of the, 15,000 people across the country, or 1,500, I don't know exact numbers, that are effective storytellers. And Aaron Young actually is on here as a great storyteller. He starts off by telling a great story throughout his presentation on the unshackled owner as well, but also with the court veil protection and his background and things like that. So telling an effective story is the most important part to identify your audience. And you want to try to find something that helps your audience engage with you immediately. Now, one of the things that I love doing is, depending on the audience, I like throwing my 4 shapes up. I got a circle, a square, a triangle, and a star. And it's my idea to go through and get the audience to kind of engage a little bit, but then also end up laughing, whether it's making fun of me, making fun of the group, or just having a good time. Hey Nathan, how's it going, buddy? But there's so many ways to tell a story. Now, what you don't want to do is be so inundated down to the detail on details that don't matter. I have some real good friends that I have to prod them along, okay, come on, get to the point, because you're losing me on people's names and houses and things like that don't make a damn difference to the story. So if you're a real estate entrepreneur or an entrepreneur of any sort, learn to tell stories. Tell stories about your experiences. Tell stories about your clients. Tell stories, success stories, the cleanest wood, the good, the bad, the ugly. All right? That's one of the best things to do. Is you can't share everything just being rosy, because that would put people not trusting you. You've got to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that will actually build rapport. It'll also really help people identify with, okay, I can understand that. That makes sense. How do you overcome that? Okay? What was the problem and how do they overcome it? We think about it, every good drama, they have that. They have a problem. Sometimes they have a nemesis of the lead character. In many places, you're playing the lead character in your own story. And the nemesis could be a variety of things. It could be the borrower. In our case, the borrower's not paying on a proper basis, so we had to overcome that in some way. Or maybe the borrower wants to pay, but the previous bank has been the nemesis. So we, like I tell a story about that borrower had been trying to do a loan mod for 4 years, and I had a huge file folder on the borrower, and she started crying when I called the first time, and when we were able to get them modified, how they named their grandchild after me, which is a great story. You just share those little insights in your presentation, whether it is, oh, I was rehabbing the house, it was had the worst roach infestation in all Salt Lake City, and when I went and hit the wall to clear that wall, it rained down roaches on me. It's a great, albeit kind of visual, but it's a story that people remember. Scott Walker, look forward to seeing you tonight too, buddy. So one of the things you want to practice on is having 7 to 8 good stories about what you do. Okay, that's the most important thing you can do. And the better you're at telling those stories and working those stories and actually practicing the stories, actually in the mirror telling them, the better off you are. Like I said, you don't want to have diarrhea of the mouth and just give facts, because everybody can just watch your presentation then. If you just have facts in the screen, nobody needs to listen to you speak. They'll just look at the PowerPoint slides and move on. But that's how you keep people interested, is getting people to laugh and telling great stories that they'll remember further than when you're there. Because the last thing you want to do, and I see this happen so many times, is I see a lot of people get up and start presenting, and they're presenting just facts, stats. And that's so boring after a while. They're not giving anything. They're going overkill. This is why this is so much better than this. This is why this is so much better than that. That's great. But give us the real why. And a lot of whys will fall into where you need to incorporate your stories as well. Your whys may be the family. Maybe you want to spend family time. Maybe you want to get away from your JOB. Maybe you want to travel more. Maybe you want to donate more. As Aaron says on here, stories are always the most powerful part of a great talk. Love to tell some at the Portland REIA. We'll definitely see about getting you speaking here, Aaron. Yeah, I'll put a word in for you, brother. But what I'm trying to get at is you have to identify your audience and what their why is. All right? Like I'm speaking tonight at the Portland REI Club. You know what it is? Their why here is they're looking to make money in real estate. Okay? And so I have to share with them some of the fun stories that I have about note investing and why note investing kind of beats traditional fix and flips. It's why it pays to be a lien lord, not a landlord. Raising capital with certificates of disappointment, CDs. Those are some great little, antecedents that I use in my storytelling. And that's one of the big things. And now you don't want to overthink this. Sometimes the simple story is sometimes the best too. And you also have to match your match your discussions for your time frame with your audience. Last thing you want to do is run over your time. That's actually one of the rudest things you can do, is go beyond your time. If they give you an hour, fill it with an hour. If they give you an hour and a half, fill it with an hour and a half. If they give you 45 minutes, fill it with 45 minutes. Have your stories keyed up and know your stories in a great way so that you can fill the time appropriately, but still leave plenty of time for questions and answers at the end. Okay? That's one of the most important things I see is, and I've run into this as well, when we've been having our note camps and our virtual workshops, we'll have a speaker on, and they'll have an hour 15 to talk, and they only go for 35 minutes. And I'm like, come on, man. Now we're scrambling for 25 minutes to draw more information out of them, or go to backup B. I have to come up with questions and answers, or I got to come up with a lot of questions definitely to figure out, or try to draw stories out of the situation for the most part. So keep that in mind. And if you're using a PowerPoint presentation, a great kind of thing to keep in mind is 10, 20, 30 with your PowerPoint presentations. 10 slides will equal you about 20 minutes, because it'll take you about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to get through each slide, depending on what you have on there. You want to keep your points on your slides to no more than 5 points. Why 5 points? Because that falls into 30-point font. You want your images to be, or your lines to be at least 30-point font. Why is that? So it's clear, so the back of the room can see the slides just like the front of the room can see the slides. okay? Plus, if you have more than 5 points, you need to have 2 slides. I see a lot of attorneys or people come over on the servicing side, they just throw as much information on a slide and it gets down to where it's 10 point, 12 point font, which is fine for reading, but not fine if you're in the back of the room squinting to see what's going on. And if you want to lose an audience really fast, post stuff that people can't see from the back of the audience, because then they'll start talking amongst themselves, and then it'll be disruptive. Then they're going to get anxious because they're not able to engage. They're not able to follow along with what you're showing up on there, okay? Another thing, don't tell the stories by writing the stories on the screen. The only time that's appropriate to put a full story would be like a testimonial. And you still want to probably trim your testimonials down, because we get plenty of testimonials from our workshops, and Nicole in the office does a great job of paring it down so it's legible in the time frame, whether it's we're posting on Instagram or making a video, slideshow, or something like that. Keep it to 2-3 lines of the max, you know. And you also, on your stories, you want to have, like we talked about, a reason why people want to make money. So what's going to attract them? Why is this property so good? I see this. A lot of investors struggle telling the story about their deal flow when they're raising capital, because that's what, if you're trying to raise capital, you got to learn to tell a story. Why is this real estate deal so good? Well, I'm picking up this $60,000 property for $25,000 is what we can buy the note for. It's owner occupied. If we get them to reperform, it's going to be a 18% yield immediately. If we've got to foreclose, it's going to take 6 to 12 months, depending on the state. And then we'll be splitting roughly probably around $25,000 to $30,000 in potential profits. Well, $25,000 to $30,000 in potential profits. If you're funding this deal at 30 and you're going to make 12, 15 grand on your deal, that's a 50% ROI to you if we can do it in 12 months. So you keep your stories great. One of the great things you'll see out there with great effective advertising is they sell the sizzle. And in your stories, sell the sizzle. The higher returns, the more inventory, the cost savings benefit. That's one thing I'll definitely hit on tonight, is with notes, you're not doing so much direct mail marketing. You're not having to go out and fight people at the foreclosure auctions. The banks come to you, and that's sizzle whenever you have deal flow come to you, because that saves time, it saves money. That's a really positive sizzle method. So keep that in mind. Why would you buy this deal? Why did you like it? Well, it's a good looking house and a great block and a great city. Nobody gives a shit on whether it's it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house. Whoopie freaking doodah. Why is this one so much different from the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house down the street? Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. Any questions, any comments? I appreciate you guys. Scott Walker. Great to see you guys on here. George, Jen, Greg, Ron. Business to business. Cody Cox. Well, yeah, you want to basically be, I'm not sure what you mean by business to business, but that's the biggest thing about telling stories is how your business can save that business thing. Too many times salespeople go in and start spouting off stats and facts. And don't get me wrong, it's important to know your stats and your numbers, but if you can't tell them the story, then you're just regurgitating information, and nobody wants to have somebody throw up on them. Okay? You're rocking and rolling off this morning, Jen. That's good to hear. Glad to hear you guys are away. Well, I'm away. The mice hopefully aren't going to play too much. I tell you what, it's actually beautiful, very beautiful here in Portland. Last time I was here, it was very rainy and kind of wet and nasty, but it's actually so green here today. We flew in right past Mount Hood yesterday afternoon, and last night I could see it from my balcony in the hotel here, but it's very green out this morning. It's very nice and pleasant. So I'm looking forward to getting a little bit of work done this morning, then maybe doing a little adventure, who knows. So storytelling is big. Always love these messages. Thanks for always setting up a great bar. Thank you, Aaron Young. You do a great job too, buddy. Jennifer's making the sizzle happen. That's good. So a great example. Jen and Greg and Nicole in the office are my sizzlers. Okay. They're my sizzlers. How do I mean by that? Well, when we look at assets, they start looking at the sizzle. So, give me an example. First thing we do is we run some numbers. Initially, we run some quick numbers, and we check the sizzle out. If we've got pricing, we run pricing down and see what kind of returns it would be to reinstate. And the first sizzle is the ROIs and the mods going to be at 25% or greater. That's the first sizzle. Then the second sizzle is they start mapping these assets and looking at photos online. Well, if the house is boarded up, doesn't look good, is half blue. We have a house that looks like the bar. When the realtor did a CMA drive-by, the house was being half painted, and they wasn't a very good job. I mean, it looked like they were maybe 6 foot tall. It was kind of an interesting blue house. But anyway, they found the sizzle. Oh, this looks great. It's a good-looking house. There's pride of ownership. So immediately, sizzle with the returns, sizzle with the images, right? And then we start looking a little bit further into the borrower sizzle. What do I mean by that? Well, that's when we start looking into the bars, Facebook stalking them, jumping on white pages, doing skip traces, talking to the utility department, those kind of things. Is the power on? How much they owe? Those things are all help us sell the sizzle. And I know that they're working on stuff right now in selling the sizzle or finding the sizzle so that I can then communicate it to funding sources. I can sell the sizzle on a webinar. I can sell the sizzle while teaching. I can do all that stuff. And so Greg, Nicole, and Jen all do a great job putting that together. Nicole will take the photos, throw those into a nice video, which helps sizzle on Facebook or online. Okay, borrower research instead of Facebook stalking, but we all know what it is. We all know what it is. Facebook stalking is a great way to sell the sizzle because everybody Facebook stalks. Borrower research is great, but it sounds so boring when you can say Facebook stalking. It puts a whole new image in somebody's mind. Oh, Facebook stalking. I never thought about doing that to my borrowers. True story. I hear that all the time when I tell people that. What? Oh, you could use LinkedIn. I guess I didn't know about that. So, coffee's kicked in this morning, everybody. Anyway, sell the sizzle. It will help you raise capital. It'll help you build a following. It'll help you when you're out speaking. It also helps you. I'll give you a great example. One of the best speakers that I love listening to on a regular basis is my buddy Greg Reed. And Greg has his stories down pat. I mean, literally almost word for word. You can hear him just repeat it. I've heard him say it so many times, I could probably almost tell the same myself. But what's great is he knows exactly. He's got his cues. He's got his words down. He's got his actions, his body language down, almost exact for anyone who's doing it. That's an effective storyteller because it's scripted, but it's also scripted in a way that gets everybody to like it. They love it. They get motivated, and they love sizzling in their seats. Ooh, sizzling in their seats. I might have to use that one. Oh, do the returns have you sizzling in your seat? Ooh, I like that. Nicole, we might need to use that one. Sizzling in your seats. The sexy side of real estate investing. Anyway. Any other questions, comments, anybody got any else stuff? Who's some of your favorite speakers that you've heard speak? Les Brown is another one that just got to be hungry. Listen to Les talk about it. And Les has this great speech where he come and being an ex-radio DJ for years going through that stuff. Your effective speakers are always going to have that sizzle. They're going to share that sizzle. They're going to share that overcoming obstacles, and maybe they might oversell the problem a little bit to help them overcome their obstacles a little bit, but it's going to be helpful. Oh, bingo! Get to the sexy side of real estate. It'll have you sizzling in your seat. That's good. Mary Menon Morrissey, yeah, she's good. Scott Duffy's a great speaker, yeah. Scott Duffy, definitely a great speaker. Love his energy. Always comes up, he does that, hey. Aaron Young is one of my favorite speakers. You can always tell the passion when it comes from people. And sometimes you also can tell if people have a really big heart in helping people in their stories. It just comes from the inside. You can tell if they're genuine or they're just full of shit. If they're just there to sell you or there to provide you some content and empathize with it. Because trust me, if you've been an entrepreneur long enough, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, you're going to have peaks, you're going to have valleys. Not everything is going to be rosy. All right. And we all have mentors. We have all people we've learned from. One of the people that I've probably been the most disappointed with in the last probably year, after hearing him speak and hearing him talk, was I can't remember the guy's name but he's from TV, from the $1 Million Listing. And he actually spoke at Secret Knock. Greg had him come up and sit in a chair. And this guy, I'm sure he's great at what he does as a realtor. I would never hire him. I just could not. The guy was so full of himself and just very alienated. And maybe that's what he is. Maybe that's how he gets his $1 Million Listings. He just tells everybody to F off for the most part. But people are asking him, hey, saw that your grandmother's a big influence on. Besides your grandmother, who helped you in your real estate career, helped you get to where you need to be? And he's like, oh, nobody did. I did it all myself. And we all know that's bullshit. We all have people that help us out along this path. Whether it's people that we're still working with, or people in our previous stuff. I'll give you an example. Bob, Lee, and Andy, and Jamie Kayla were all very, very big influences on me, helping me, and I learned a lot of effective storytelling from Bob early on. And Jamie definitely, with my speaking capabilities, learned a lot from them and watching them for years. Doesn't mean I'm doing anything with them now, but I still always give credit back to my roots. This guy just was completely, I learned it all myself. I'm so fucking awesome. Pardon my French, and it's just like, really? That was the wrong message for the group. Because you had a group of 200 plus people there that were there in a giving fashion, and that was totally contrarian to the message that was going on. Even Greg mentioned, hey, not everybody is going to see eye to eye with everybody, and that's great. Completely, got to be honest about stuff like that. So, what are some other speakers you guys have loved hearing from? Bob Proctor is a great example of storytelling. Actually, Bob is probably one of the best motivational speakers out there, but most people don't know that Bob made his money initially in the janitorial business. I'm sure cleaning a lot of toilets, or having people clean a lot of toilets, leads to some interesting stories. Craig Valentine's a great speaker as well. You have to literally, the biggest thing is, if you're out speaking and telling stories and learning, is the best thing you can do is get out and start seeing speakers. One of my most favorite things to do is I love going to comedy clubs, because I will always pick things from comedians who are great storytellers. I think we can all agree that every good comedian has always been an effective storyteller, and they bring their stories. They start off one way, but they bring it back in to the front. And that's one of my favorite things to do is to go and watch live comedy, watching people do well and then people bomb. Sometimes it gets struggle. There's a guy in Austin, this young kid, who we call him the Eye of Sauron speaker, who I've seen him kind of grow as a comedian over the last 3 years, and see his similar story he's used every time, and it's gotten better every time. The first time I saw him speak, he really, I hate to say it, he bombed. Totally bombed. First time I spoke in a public audience, in the note business or in the real estate business, I bombed. Was in Houston, I bombed. But I learned a lot from that time that I bombed by being coachable by the people that were around me. But this young kid, he's done really well. I've seen him 3, 4, 5 times. The Eye of Sauron is watching, is his thing. Can't remember his name, but he's gotten better and better at what he does. And it's great to see that, to see him working hard at his craft. And ultimately, I see so many people that want to be speakers, they want to be life coaches, but they don't take the time to build their craft. Posting photos on Instagram are great, but if you're not really providing some solid content, something that people are going to rely on, or not rely on, but learn from, and also kind of be a little vulnerable by just sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly, people aren't going to trust you. And you're eventually going to burn out because you're not going to have the genuineness coming out of you that will keep you going when nobody's showing up, when nobody likes your images and things like that. So, thank you, Miss Goodman. Yes, the Eye of Sauron is watching you. So, I know it's one of Steph's. It's an inside joke with us. So, anyway, it is a gorgeous day here, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. I know it's past noon back home, or back on the East Coast, and getting close to noon there in Austin. Hopefully you all have a wonderful day. Keep rocking and rolling. And if you can do anything right now with this episode, take a second and share a story. I'll give you an example. One that just comes to mind is Leslie Clark. I think she's watching here. Good morning, Leslie from Naples. Leslie has a deal that she and Wayne did in Columbus. Okay? Talking about how it took forever and they drag on, their servicer drag stuff out. That is a great story to share about your first learning experience, Miss Clark. Because I think we all have. I've had deals like dragging along. I got deals right now that are dragging on longer than expected. But at some point they played out. What did I do to overcome that obstacle? So that's a great story, Leslie Clark. If you're watching, share your story. Share what's going on with that deal, the other deals you're working on, and go from there. George Crocker, motivate them in Oregon. I definitely will. You've got a great story that with your first note deal you bought. Hey, good morning, Leslie. We look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks at the Note Mastermind first week in August. But share your stories, everybody. And it doesn't. If you don't have a note deal, by all means, share a real estate deal. Share something you're focused on. I share a story about the best deal that I didn't do, but it helped me raise more private capital, gave me more faith in myself than anything else. About 29 doors. I was looking at buying 29 doors in Corpus Christi. Turned out they were all slums. The 9-plex, the 2-story 9-plex, had a lien on it, literally leaning. The doors were cut off. Sell those images in your stories, and it will help build a picture in your mind. Definitely build a picture in your mind. A great story writer, which you may not always agree, but is a very similar formula, would be Stephen King. A lot of his stories come out very similar. He talks about Bangor, Maine. He talks about places like that. Although I'm pretty excited about the Gunslinger coming out. I'll tell you that right now. The Dark Tower series, the Gunslinger, here in the next couple weeks. I've waited a long time for that. But his 7-8 book series on the Dark Tower series and the Gunslinger, amazing descriptions that helps you see the Gunslinger, see him walking through Gilead, see him seeing the Dark Tower, see him shooting he shoots with his heart, not his eyes. I'm very interested in seeing how that movie rolls out with Matthew McConaughey playing the Man in Black and Idris Elba playing Roland, the Gunslinger. So you can tell Stephanie Goodman is excited to see that as well. So anyway, everybody, hope you have a great Thursday. Go make something happen. I got to get a little bit of work done here, working on my slides for my story tonight at 6:30 here in Portland. If you're here in the Portland area, come on down, see us here at the North REIA. We'll be actually meeting over at the DoubleTree here. Hang on. Right there, the DoubleTree. The Lloyd Center here. That's where we meet in the Oregon room, actually. So pretty looking forward to that. Looking forward to catching up with everybody. It's out of this neck of the woods. Otherwise, you have a great day, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.